Hey everybody, and welcome back to our channel. So today I'm going to show you how to make a red velvet cheesecake. Okay, and for the cheesecake you're going to need cream cheese, butter, sour cream, sugar, vanilla, and again I forget the freaking eggs. And eggs, y'all. I'm tripping. Okay, so within this whole video, you're gonna get like 3 recipes. You're gonna get a red velvet cake recipe that can be a 3-layer cake, and you're good to go. You're gonna get the cheesecake recipe that can be just a regular cheesecake, and the base for other flavors of cheesecake. And then because you're doing a red velvet cheesecake, you can take that red velvet cake, put it into 2 pans, not all of it, and then you'll have some left to even make like cupcakes or cake pops or whatever. Okay, so Merry Christmas, thank me later. Okay, so to start out with your cheesecake, first thing you're gonna do is all your ingredients need to be room temperature. Everything. Butter, cream cheese, your sour cream, your eggs. If you take your eggs out too late, put them in a bowl with some warm water and let them sit in there for about 15 minutes. Another tip, Merry Christmas. Okay, so you're gonna add in your butter and your cream cheese, and you're gonna let that go for about 3 minutes until it's smooth. Scrape the bowl smooth. When that's smooth, you're going to add in your sugar. You're going to let that go until it's smooth, scraping your bowl, sides and bottom, and beater. Now that you let that come together with the sugar, you're going to add in your sour cream. And you're going to let that go for about 1 to 2 minutes, scraping the sides and the bottom and your paddle attachment. Make sure you do this so you don't have lumps, okay? See how I'm stopping it? Okay. Now you're going to add in your vanilla. Let it come together a couple seconds, then stop. Okay, so now I always save the eggs for last because you don't want to whip those eggs too much. Okay, you're going to add in the eggs one at a time. I go ahead and I break my eggs into a bowl or cup or whatever, and I add them one at a time just until they're combined into the mixture. Okay. You don't want to whip this too much. Once those eggs are added, you don't want to mix this too much because you don't want to add too much air into those eggs, okay? You're going to stop it, scrape the sides and the bottom, let it go for another couple seconds, and then stop. Okay, so here I have an 8-inch regular cake pan. You can use a springform pan if you want. I just use regular cake pans. I put some butter and parchment paper in there. And because it's going to be within a cake, I don't put a crust. If you want to put a crust, you absolutely can, but I just don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour my cheesecake batter into here. Okay, so what I do is I take my pan and I put it inside of a bigger pan, and I'm going to pour my boiling water into there. You should really open your oven, pull your rack out, put that in there, then pour the water in there. That's really how you should do it, but I'm backwards. I do most things backwards, but I'm telling you, do as I say, not as I do, okay? You're going to bake it in a 325-degree oven for about 50 minutes. Okay, so cheesecake is done. My hands are clean. I'm going to show you. Now, once I turned it off, once my time was up, I turned it off and I left it in the oven for about an hour. And you see it's releasing from the side of the pan. It's going to be easy to get out of here. Or you can run along spatula, the offset spatula, and pop it right out. But I let it cool before I try to take it out. Alright, so here's what you're going to need for your red velvet cake. You're going to need some eggs. vinegar, butter, sugar, vegetable oil. You can use canola, any flavorless oil you want to use. Flour, all-purpose flour or cake flour. Unsweetened cocoa powder, red food coloring, baking powder, vanilla, baking soda, brewed coffee, buttermilk, and that's that. Now, let's clear up a few misconceptions about red velvet cake. Red velvet cake is not a chocolate cake that's colored red. It's not. If your red velvet cake tastes like chocolate cake, you're doing it wrong. There are a couple of mistakes that people make. Adding too much vinegar, too much cocoa powder, too much red food coloring. Adding it in just to, okay. I'm going to show you a process. What makes this a velvety cake is a combination of the buttermilk, the cocoa powder, and the vinegar together that makes it velvet, gives it a velvety texture. And then you add the red in there, which could be any color: blue, green, purple, gray, whatever, black. Who cares about the color? Okay, just know there's a process. This is not a chocolate cake that's red. Again, if your red velvet cake tastes like chocolate cake, you're doing it wrong. Okay, so for your red velvet cake, you're going to take 2 8-inch pans. If you're doing the cheesecake with it, if you're doing just the red velvet cake, you can do 3. Now, you're going to take 2 8-inch pans. You're going to butter them and use parchment circles. I buy the parchment circles instead of cutting parchment paper. It takes less time and it's less waste. And you're going to set this aside. And you're going to preheat your oven at 325. Okay, so you're going to take your mixing bowl that you're going to mix your cake in, and you're going to put a sift over it, and you're going to sift all your dry ingredients and everything: sugar, flour, cocoa powder, baking soda, baking powder, salt, all of those. And you're going to sift them over the bowl and then get ready for your wet ingredient. And now, into a large enough measuring cup, you're going to add in all your wet ingredients except your brewed coffee. You want to make sure your melted butter is not hot because you don't want to scramble your eggs, okay? You just want to move that around and keep it from scrambling your eggs. And you're going to set that aside. Okay, so now you're going to add your dry ingredients with the wire whisk, the whisk attachment. And then you're going to mix it up a little bit. And then you're going to slowly add in your wet ingredients. You want to slowly add this because you don't want a bunch of lumps. And I know this seems like a very awkward way to mix a cake, but it works, okay? Work with me here, okay? I do this all the time. It works. I promise. It's going to come together and it's going to be beautiful. Trust me. I know you're not supposed to trust people who say trust me, but it's going to work. Now you're going to add in once it comes together, you're going to add in your food coloring. Real quick with the food coloring. So you can add this whole thing, or you can use the gel food coloring. My preference is AmeriColor, about a tablespoon. Or you can use a tablespoon of the Red Velvet Emulsion, which they sell at Walmart, Michael's, anywhere that sells cake stuff. And in Walmart, it's not going to be over by your regular cake aisle, baking aisle. It's going to be over where the wedding stuff is, near the party section. That's where the Red Velvet Emulsion would be at in Walmart. Okay, now that you have your red food coloring in, you're going to scrape your bowl, sides, and bottom. And you're going to add in your hot coffee. Do not skip this step. Do not skip this step. This is going to help add some moisture and whatnot in your cake. So do not skip that step. All right, you're going to scrape the sides in the bowl. Make sure it's smooth, and then you're going to add it to your cake pans. Now you're you're going to add them to your cake pans. I line them with, again, parchment paper and butter. You're going to tap to get all the air bubbles out, and you're going to bake on 325 until done. These took about 25 minutes in my oven. This is a loose cake, so be careful. Make sure it's done. And here is the cream cheese frosting. You're going to take some cream cheese and some butter. Put it in your mixer, mix it up till it's well combined, scrape the bottoms aside, add your sugar, vanilla, mix until smooth. Bada bing, bada boom, it's done. And this is what it looks like. It's very easy, very simple recipe. If you don't want to use that, I have another recipe for buttercream on here. I'll link it. So you have your 2 layers of red velvet cake, and then you have your cheesecake. This cake was in the refrigerator, and it's not dried out. See? Let me show you. This is how you know a cake is moist. And you can form like a little ball without adding icing in it. Like a cake pop. That's how you know your cake is moist. Ain't that something? That is it. Thank y'all so much for watching. I hope y'all try this recipe, and if you do, let me know.